Oh hi, Chewie! What's up? How's your morning? Oh, what? Your alarm clock failed? And you got frosty because it's too cold outside. And worst of all, you've run out of soda. Oh man, Chewie, you've had quite the grim dawn. But let me tell you, it could have been way worse. Here's a fella who woke up being hanged by the neck and was just barely cut down before he stopped kicking. The reason he was hanged is because he had been taken over by a spirit presence called an aetherial and made to act against his will. And even though he's saved from imminent death, the little town he is in is under constant attack by the aetherials, low on food and clean drinking water, and mixed in confusion and disarray trying to figure out who is possessed and who isn't. No, Chewie, he doesn't have soda either. We can't customize our character a whole lot, but we can give it a name. Now, let's see. There's a whole bunch of classes to choose from once the game gets underway, but I already have an idea that I want to make a character specialized in pistols. I'm going to name him after the gunslinging detective from the Telltale Sam & Max games called Flint Paper.
I didn't. Flint Paper!
Hiya, fellas! Hey, what's the rumpus? I'm in the middle of some sensitive PI business.
I hope the enemies will also appreciate his sensitivity. Now we can get started. You'll be spending a large portion of the early game in this town called Devil's Crossing and its surrounding areas, so it will quickly become quite familiar and you'll find your way around handily to the shops and quest givers. In classic role-playing game fashion, you can pick up quests from people with exclamation points over their heads, and once they're done, hand them in to people with question marks over their heads, gaining rewards and experience points. Better gear drops from enemies outside the town walls, and you can also rack up experience points while destroying these monsters. It will not take long before you level up. You get points to spend on 3 main attributes that define what kind of character you generally are and what kind of gear you can use. Physique increases your strength and melee damage with heavier weapons, and you can also wear heavy armor and shields. Cunning is your speed and agility required for ranged weapons and lightweight weapons that are trickier to use. And Spirit defines your magical power, also allowing you to understand how to use arcane tomes and magical staves and so on. Spirit also defines how much elemental damage you do, so Flint here will start getting mostly cunning but also a little bit of spirit. Next up, you can choose your class, which defines what abilities you can access. Now, to those who are familiar with this game, it may seem like there's a whole lot more classes than usual. Indeed, correct? I have installed a mod called Cataclysm, which introduces 8 new character classes. Since I've already played through this game quite a few times, I wanted to take the opportunity to experience what the mods have to offer. The graphics and game mechanics are still the same as in the original game. No, Chewie, I did not hacks with the cheats. No! In order to figure out which class to play, there's really 2 options. You can pick a class and see what abilities they will gain from their skills menu, and then undo your selection if you want something different. Or you can just go forward based on what sounds cool and deduce what the character class might be all about. Like, a soldier will likely benefit from heaps of physique, and an archmage will grow in power with more spirit. Flint Paper wants to riddle everything full of holes with rapid pistol fire, so we're going to pick the Inquisitor class. Soon we will get to pick a second character class, which for us will be Stalker, one of the classes from the mod. You can choose to dig deep into just one class or begin mixing their abilities equally. You also get a cool title based on which combo you do, like Inquisitor plus Stalker equals Aetherbane. I picked these 2 classes because they both have a lot of abilities that work off your basic shots, which I intend to try and make as rapid as possible. We'll see how that goes. Now, I didn't get very far in my adventure before something very strange and lucky happened. One of the enemies happened to drop a flask of knowledge. What exactly does it do? Well, it gives a megaton of experience points. If I had happened to already be on a higher level, it might have given me XP to go up 1 or 2 levels, but since I was only at level 3 when it dropped, using it gave me 13 level ups in one go. That's just bonkers. As the distance to town begins to grow, it would become tedious to travel back and forth in an already cleared land on foot, so the game has implemented a super handy fast travel system called riftgates. With these, you can hop to any other active portal on the map, including the one back in town, from anywhere you want. There is no cost and no limit to how much you can travel, and it makes the flow of the game so much faster. If you plan your portal trips well, you will pretty much never have to backtrack anywhere. You'll occasionally find these defiled shrines, which you can cleanse. Some require you to defeat enemies that spawn around it, while others require a specific material. Cleansing them gives you an explosion of loot and a devotion point. Let's just say that the devotion point system is already very deep knowledge of how the game works, but basically it is yet another layer of power-ups for your character. You can really begin to transform your basic abilities into earth-shattering bombardment with devotion points. One of the handiest power-ups I accessed early was the ability to leech life to myself with some of my attacks, which saved me from wiping out more times than I care to admit. The game isn't terribly difficult or normal, meaning that a lot of the basic enemies offer no resistance at all. The bosses and special enemies can still kill you, especially if they gang up on you. If you increase the difficulty though, well, it's going to get rough really quick. Progress will for sure be slower, at least for new players. Early on in the story, you're finding survivors out in the wild who can render their services in town once rescued, helping to get the town into working condition in general, and finding out where the aetherial threat is originating from and how to stomp it out. Turns out that there are forces at play to destroy and enslave humans across the entire game world, which is pretty vast by the way. You strike out into different regions with new towns and keeps, some of which are more advanced than Devil's Crossing where you started from. The enemies you come across are mostly classic fantasy RPG baddies, including serpents known as the Slith, bandits, harpies, stone tusks, orcs, insectoids, Chthonians, and of course the aetherials. There's a difference in playstyle between different classes, and it's fun to try out new things. You can find a lot of variety within a single class, like you can kit some class for either melee, ranged, or even spellcasting, completely changing the way it works and making it possible to combine it in new ways to other classes. I even kept having dreams of potential class combinations that might be cool back when I was getting to know these classes for the first time. This game is also designed really beautifully for co-op. Bring up to 3 friends if you want to make the screen an absolute blur of magical effects and minions. We played this with my big bro with the intention of both of us being summoners. At first we had a couple of minions and I also began healing with area spells. The only problem was that the pets kept dying, and when they are gone, we are also very gone. But the bunch kept growing until we had a squadron of magically armored minions that crashed into the enemy like a wave of piercing teeth and slashing claws. It was glorious. Another gaming memory tucked away in the vast archives of all the fun stuff I've experienced on the journey. The soundscape and graphical direction are unique, and in a strange way they're very appealing to me. A lot of people I've talked to find them dull and dark. One might even say grim. It is, however, a successful and complete graphical look, which feels finished and sticks with you. I get this feeling like this place is truly torn by forces from another dimension and needs saving. The sounds keep up the feeling that no matter how many enemies you slay, there's always more whispering in the shadows, gathering up for the next attack. It is an overrun, war-torn landscape, and when you do come across something positive, it feels like a strong experience because it is contrasted by so much hardship. There isn't any place that is fully safe. Good thing I brought my pistols, and towards the end of the game I really started to rain some hell. The crazy thing is, I've already talked about this game in great detail, but there's still a ton of features I've yet to explain. Like combining components for gear, resistances and vulnerabilities, damage scaling, factions and reputation, controlling minions, filtering loot, monster archetypes, and not to mention the absolutely crazy amount of story this game has to offer. This beast will provide an ungodly amount of hours of gameplay and replay value. Grim Dawn has a lot of competitors in the same category, being considered a Diablo clone. But when I do compare it to the other Diablo clones out there that I know of, it stands out as one of the definite best of its category, and it's a masterpiece game well worth checking out if you are at all curious about action RPGs. The mods also help to customize the experience to your liking. Don't forget to check out the DLCs for this game, which will take you adventuring into whole new scenery. It's time to wrap up, so here you go guys, use this riftgate to hop with me and Chewie to the next game on the list.